Yes, good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the Football Tribe UG channel. Robert Kesakos is your usual suspect. Welcome back to yet another live broadcast on your favorite football updates channel. It's a pleasure to be back with you on this beautiful Saturday night. Sunday night. I don't know why I even thought for 1 second it was Sunday, sorry, Saturday. But it is a Sunday night. Jesus, hi, how are you? This is a record. Today you're the first person on the broadcast, and then reluctant gamer. Reluctant gamer, I know I lost my bet with you about Manchester United winning. I went for a draw, but Liverpool were robbed. Liverpool were robbed. So, hi Jesus, how are you doing, my brother? Good to have you back on the channel. You say you missed out. I mean, I missed out because Liverpool were robbed. Jesus, I know you were not aware. Yesterday we made a bet with Reluctant Gamer. My prediction was for a draw between Manchester United and Liverpool. He went for a Man United win by a 1-0. Of course, in terms of a perfect score, we both failed on that front. But Liverpool were robbed. That goal by Benjamin Sesko, there was a hand involved. And the rules say if the hand touches the ball, regardless of the circumstances, the goal is ruled out. And you know, they put out a statement after the game to say that the goal should be disallowed. And this is what I've been telling Man City fans in the entire week, that you can't always, once the game is done, it doesn't change the result, no matter how much you try to amend or to correct whatever you think did not go right. It's just that, Jesus says, I was watching Formula One, I should watched the game. Okay, I understand. Sometimes we have divided attention because of the passions that we all pay allegiances to. Yesterday, I think, was it yesterday or the other day? I was having a gentleman who was more interested in cricket because they had been watching cricket, but no less still a football fan. But anyways, it's a pleasure to have you guys back. I hope you're all doing well. I hope your Sunday night/evening, quote unquote. For me, it's 6 minutes to midnight, which means I'm transitioning into Monday very quickly. Apologies, I'm late because I did not watch the game from home. And after the United game, there was the Spurs game. Spurs are out of relegation. We'll get to talk about that. They managed to win their game by 2-1 against Aston Villa. Aston Villa have now lost 3 consecutive games, having lost last week on Thursday against Nottingham Forest by 0-0 and against Fulham previously by a similar scoreline. So it's not good news for Unai Emery, especially at the time when they are fighting to qualify for the finals of the UEFA Europa League. So it's not pretty. Anyways, guys, for those of you that are just joining us, my name is Robert Kesakos and I come to you live from Kampala, Uganda. It's a pleasure to be back with you. For those of you that are new on the channel, kindly like the broadcast, but also consider subscribing to the channel. What happened to Watkins? Nothing significant that I recall. He was a substitute. He came on because they started with Tammy Abraham. For the guys that were part of the preview, I mentioned that I expected Unai Emery to make so many changes because prior to this match day 35, he was already 8 points clear of a 6th place team, which was then Brighton. It's now Brentford who won their game against West Ham to move to 51 points. So they are still 7 points ahead of a 6th place team. So their position in terms of the league table was not under threat. So I expected the likes of Tyrone Mings to play, and he did play. The likes of Ian Matson, and those are the guys that started today's game. Tammy Abraham, those kinds of guys. Of course, there was some partly senior, those you could call senior team players or first team players did come on, but I thought overall it was a bit of a changed team. I expectedly so. When you look at Lindelof, he's not a starter. It's always Pau Torres playing alongside Ezri Konsa. Those are the starters. Ross Barkley started this one. He's not a starter. Maybe Yuri Tillemans was one of those, and Morgan Rogers one of the starters, and the goalkeeper Emi Martinez. But Jordan Sancho, we know he's not a starter. It's John McGinn for as long as he's fit. Then up front, it's Oli Watkins, not Tammy Abraham that usually starts. So those were some of the changes that were made. So we'll get through it all anyways, guys. But I think it's been an interesting weekend thus far. We still have two games to complete match day 35 of the Premier League, and those will come tomorrow at 5 p.m. Between Chelsea and Nottingham Forest. Then the other game will be between Manchester City away to Everton in the late kickoff. That's at 10 p.m. Meanwhile, as we speak, Inter Milan have won their 21st Scudetto after beating up against Parma by 2-0. We'll get to discuss that. Manchester United have clinched their UEFA Champions League qualification, of course, under the circumstances that I've briefly explained. But Barcelona's a triumph of the Spanish La Liga party will have to wait. They'll have to do it against Real Madrid next weekend if they can win the El Clasico or even pick up a point, because Real Madrid have just beaten up against Espanyol by 2-0. So it's been a very, very interesting weekend overall. So there's a lot for us to go through bit by bit. The question is, where do we start it all? where do we start it all? I'm trying to find that statement issued by Page Mall in being apologetic to Liverpool for the goal that was allowed, that should have been disallowed. And in the aftermath of that game, Anna Slot said, whenever it goes to VAR, it has always gone against them thus far. So yeah. Yes, Jesus, Real Madrid won. Khalid, hi Khalid, how are you doing? Good to have you on the broadcast. It's a pleasure to have you on the broadcast. Khalid, okay. Who else? Reluctant says, I'm back. I'll be back. I'll give you another chance. Reluctant gamer, I don't know what you qualify for another chance, but I think in an ideal world, in a fair world, in an objective world, I won the bet. The problem was, I wasn't the match official, but Inter Milan winning the Scudetto with 82 points. Really, they still have 3 games left to play, but in those remaining 3 games, they are going to be accorded guards of honor as they walk onto the pitch. So that's, all part of it. But anyways, let me. Oh, okay. Let me try and get that statement about the disallowed goal. I mean, initially, I've had the chance to look at it multiple times, and I must say that in the quick instance of it, it looked inconclusive. Then they zoomed in, and it was really, really hard to tell. But then the more you watch it, the more you see the ball clip off his fingers as it sort of falls. So, okay. Gratido Games says Vasco draw with Flamengo in the in the Brazilian League. Incredible. Thank you so much for that update, Gratido. I hope you can subscribe to the channel and continuously give us some of these updates from the Brazilian League. I would appreciate it a great deal. Then you say game just ended right now. Okay, that's good. Then Shahan, Shana, yes. West Indies tablet. Hello, you are listening? Yes, I'm listening. Hello, good to have you. Shana, on the podcast. I hope you're doing good. But I want us to sort of get that statement from the Premier League about the goal that was allowed to stand, and yet it should have been disallowed because it was released quite quickly in the aftermath of that game. I don't know if I can get hands myself on that document, but and then again, it's been a bit of a weekend of a controversy as well. In the Bournemouth game against Crystal Palace, there was a dubious penalty that was awarded in that game. And I looked at it and I was saying, Jesus Christ, how is that a penalty against the goalkeeper, Dean Henderson? How is that a penalty? In any case, you'd argue it should be a free kick for Crystal Palace. A West Indies tablet. You say you love, what's that? You say, you put bananas, cucumbers, you say you love 12012. I don't know what that stands for. Whatever it is, whatever that is, I don't know what that stands for. But I hope it's a good thing. I hope it's a good thing. Sometimes people mislead me into things that ideally should not be worthy of being said on a broadcast. So I hope that's not the case. Anyways, do you think Nottingham wins the Europa League? I mean, if they advance to the finals, they will have a chance. Poki Tata 9:30. Yeah, if they manage to knock out Aston Villa, they have a chance because, I mean, it's not a given, but I have this feeling. I think it's more wishful than objective, perhaps, that a Premier League team could win the UEFA Europa League this season. Just, of course, the way it was last season. It was Tottenham Hotspur because the other semi-final involves Freiburg and Braga. So if they can advance if Nottingham Forest can advance to the final, they will have a chance. I mean, let's not forget they knocked out FC Porto at the quarterfinals. So knocking out Aston Villa at the semi-finals would equally be that incredible. So I do not think there's anything you can take for granted when it comes to those results. So, Jesus Christ. Meanwhile, as I try to look for that statement in vain, hello, Hindi, your language. No. Hindi is not my language, please. I can only speak English, at least to you. If I do speak Luganda, you will not understand whatever I'm saying. So, unfortunately, I do not know Hindi. It's not my language. As much as I appreciate the incredible love and support that Team India have shown me thus far on this channel, I've not yet brought myself to learn Hindi. And I cannot promise that I'm going to learn it anytime soon. Then I can see Danny, this is Peter Parker, right? What's up, champ? Peter Parker. I mean, where have you been, Danny? It's been literally ages. I don't know. I hope you've been okay. It's been ages since I last seen you on the channel. I think I stand to be corrected, but the last time I saw you on the channel, we had not yet brought membership and these super chat things. I mean, that's how long it's been. That's how long it's been. Okay, Sesko goal. Guys, I'm still trying to find that document. I don't know. It's I mean, the moment I looked at it, you could literally see those fingers scrape the ball. You can see them brush the ball. I mean, it's not. Of course, it's not deliberate. It's not so impactful as to so much change the direction of the ball in itself, I thought. But it's nonetheless a handball. But Anna Slot says, if there is a VAR intervention, the decision goes against us. It's happened to us all season. And I mean, that's very disappointing. And I hope Anna Slot won't be penalized for those comments because, the Premier League and the FA have this overreaching protective hand of the referees that sometimes they penalize managers for saying things that ideally they should be saying in assessment of what they deem injustice on their team. So Anna Slot also said, I know what we can improve on, and we are already working hard on this. Tactically, you can change certain things, but for me, it is clear where we have to improve. I think he's speaking about next season. Why did Mbappe not play today? Mbappe suffered a minor injury. I think it's a groin injury that was reported. Not particularly sure, but it was a minor injury. In fact, in the build-up to the Espanyol game, all the reports that have been coming out of Spain have been in regard to Real Madrid's dressing room, apparently apprehensive about Kylian Mbappe's behavior, that after suffering a minor injury, when the season is still going, that maybe he could have even been available to be in the matchday squad. I do not know if that's the case, or in terms of protecting the player. But apparently, once he got injured, he went on a trip outside Spain with his girlfriend. And those rumors have suggested that he went away to Italy with his girlfriend. So those are the reports that have been surrounding his name in the build up to this game. So unfortunately, I've not watched the game. I know it kicked off at 10 p.m. I was trying to catch up with the Spurs game at the time, where goals from Richarlison and Conor Gallagher gave Tottenham Hotspurs the win. Released, I think, was it Emi Buendia, who scored what turned out to be a mere consolation for Aston Villa. And then, okay, do you think Rogers Mato is a wonder kid, a great feature? I do not think he's a wonder kid, but I think he's talented enough to compete favorably at the highest of levels. Currently at Hearts, Melodothonian. Sorry for the mispronunciation of that. But Hearts in Scotland. That's where he's playing his trade from. Okay. Go eat fufu. That is Mr. Schwarzenegger. Unfortunately, I'm neither Nigerian nor Ghanaian, so fufu. I've tasted fufu before, but it's not my cup of tea. From my history of working at a Liberian-owned restaurant, fufu was a thing. Fufu, collard greens, pepper soup, that kind of thing. A cassava leaf, it was a thing. So I know a thing or two about West African cuisine and jollof rice, of course. But fufu is not my cup of tea. But yeah, Rogers Mato is a very promising talent. I think the way you see Alan Okello currently playing at Young Africans in the Tanzanian league, where he's been involved in about 5 assists in his recent couple of games. So, you know, why Saka is not giving his 100% in matches. I mean, he's struggled through injury. Let's not forget, last season, Saka, in the entirety of his career, suffered his first major injury, and that was a hamstring injury that kept him out of action for close on 3 months. So ever since he recovered from that injury, he's never been the same player. And earlier on this season, he suffered a minor hamstring. Remember, the trend with players is that when you suffer a lengthy injury, you're prone to suffering another injury. So ever since then, he's been through a cycle of injuries. Of course, his performances have been below the desired level in majority of the games that he's featured in. But injuries have been a big part of that. You know, they've been a big part of that. Okay, what do you think about Luka Jovic, the striker? You mean Luka Jovic that was at Eintracht Frankfurt in 2022 when they were winning the UEFA Europa League against Rangers and then moved to Real Madrid? He's one of those players that never fulfilled his potential. I thought he had the talent. He had a very good left foot. But you see, when you go to a big club like Real Madrid and you're not an instant hit, you're always going to struggle. Currently, he's playing at AEK Athens in Greece, where he scored 16 goals in 26 league games. So there he's not doing too bad for himself. But for the player that he promised to be, those days at Eintracht Frankfurt, he's not sort of lived to that billing, you know, because after helping Eintracht Frankfurt win the UEFA Europa League, he joined Real Madrid. It never really worked out. He went back to Eintracht Frankfurt on loan. Then again, it was not the best of spells. Then he went to Fiorentina. Even at Fiorentina, it was a struggle for him. He scored only 6 goals, I think, in 31 appearances. Then he went to AC Milan. That was around 2023, and he was there for, I think, about 2 seasons. And then even at AC Milan, he struggled to find his footing. 38 appearances. He's only scored about 8 goals, and then he moved to AEK Athens in Greece. So he's one of those players that you can say has not lived to his full potential, and he's one of those many talents that will perhaps the world of football will speak about in that breadth or strength in as far as a recent talents and football is concerned. You'd have hoped. Just imagine if he had been a hit at Real Madrid, maybe he would even still be at Real Madrid by now, because if you make a transfer from Frankfurt and go to Real Madrid, that's literally the climax of a career in terms of league, in terms of club status, when it comes to club football. Okay, Olise is a phenomenal player, without a doubt. Without a doubt. I've been singing praise of the guy all throughout the campaign. His numbers, ridiculous. He's very consistent. He makes it look easy sometimes. He goes about his business with a bit of lackluster sometimes. In terms of when you look at his body language, he doesn't look like a player that is too serious about the game. The way, for example, the way you'd see a Joshua Kimmich in the game, the way you would see a bit of an aggressiveness from a Luis Diaz, that kind of feel. He doesn't give you that kind of vibe. He goes about his business almost quietly, but very effectively. You get, he impacts the game really, really well. Schwarzenegger says, what do you think about Jesse, a former player for Real Madrid? Jesse Rodriguez, who ended up at Stoke City at some point. Again, another brilliant talent that never lived to his expectations. You go back to players like Ibrahima Ferrai at Barcelona. You go back to players like Ricky Puig at Barcelona. You go back to players like Bojan Kakic, I think also had a stint at Stoke City, as players who never lived up to their full potential, And we keep seeing these talents, emerging talents that never hit their full potential. In fact, today we were talking about, the potential in Chelsea's squad, and the talent is there. But oftentimes, you cannot bank on the promise of a brilliant young talent transforming into an exceptional player, because I think almost like 1 out of 100 does that. He gets to be brilliant, So he gets to be brilliant. How many Michael Olises do you have today? Not so many. Of course, in that realm of Michael Olise, you have Michael Olise, Kivicha Kvaratskhelia, Desiree Doué, Bradley Bacola, Lamine Yamal, and those kinds of players, in terms of consistency and giving you. Florian Wirtz would still be in that bracket, but his debut campaign at Liverpool has not been that great. He's only 22 coming on to 23 years, thereabout. Then you look around, and it's just that, What do you think about American national football team? I mean, I do not have much hope in them that they will go far in the World Cup that they are hosting. In fact, if they make it to the round of 16, that would be a great achievement. It would remind us maybe the semblance of Russia, what Russia were able to do when they hosted the World Cup back in 2018. But I do not have much hopes in the USA. I mean, their history as far as world football is not that great. I mean, when you look at their greats in terms of football, you're going to look back to the likes of London Donovan, Clint Dempsey. Today they have the Timothy Weahs, Winston McKennie, Matt Turner. He came to Arsenal, sort of struggled a bit, went to Nottingham first, I think. Was it Nottingham? And then Palace. He sort of fumbled in and around, and things eventually did not go well for him. So he ended up, elsewhere. But today he's at New England. He went back to the USA, and that tells you or sums up. They do not have so many great talents. They'll have to bank on Mauricio Pochettino getting the best out of them collectively as a team. Oh, sorry, you meant Armenian? Oh, I thought you meant America, USA. Sorry. You said Armenia, not USA. Armenia, trust me, I do not have much knowledge about Armenia and their football, so I cannot give you any insights whatsoever about that. Which two teams you want to see in the UEFA Champions League final? two teams that I would want to see in the UEFA Champions League final, I think I would want to see maybe Arsenal versus PSG. That's what I would want to see in the final. Yeah. It's I don't know. Is it a possibility? Yes. Is it what will happen? Only God knows. We have this week to find out. That's on Tuesday and Wednesday to find out. PGMOL statement on Sesko goal. I'm trying to find that. Jesus Christ. Okay, this is Ottoman. Hello, kids, who I am. Hi, Ottoman. Where are you joining us from? Ottoman, like Otto von Bismarck from the Ottoman Empire? I mean, very, very interesting name, Ottoman. Sounds like it has gravitas, you know? Anyways, so oh. Meanwhile, the statement that I was seeking to cite is one that is not proven to be from the correct sources. Yep. So we cannot base on it as evidence for what has come out. But for me, I feel Liverpool were robbed at Anfield. Okay, Dennis Yuki, is it Dennis Yuki? I hope I'm reading this well. Yes, Dennis Yugi, hi boss, says hi boss. Hi Dennis, why are you joining? Oh, where are you joining us from? What part of Uganda, if you're indeed from Uganda? Because usually Yugi stands for Uganda. But apologies if it's a misconception on my part. Anyways, so Manchester United versus Liverpool. It felt like a game of two halves. Man United came all guns blazing in the first half. Liverpool came all guns blazing in the second half. And one moment in the second half decided the game. Really, one moment in the first half felt like it put the game beyond its stretch in a way, you know. Will Arsenal win the Premier League? I hope so, because like I keep saying, when you go to the channel, you'll find the pinned video of my predictions at the start of the season or prior to the start of the season. And I predicted for Arsenal to win the Premier League title. But like I've constantly said, time and again, that once they lost to AFC Bournemouth and to Manchester City, they relinquished their destiny in the race for the Premier League title out of their hands and put it in that of Manchester City. Because whatever you think Arsenal must do to win it, you can say it is the same thing that Man City must do to win it. You get the point. So, first of all, two scenarios where Arsenal win the Premier League title. One, that Man City drop points, and then Arsenal do not drop points or capitalize on that. Two, that from now on until the end of the season, Arsenal keep outscoring Manchester City so that at the end of the season, they are better than them by goal difference, or if goal difference is the equivalent, then they have scored more goals than Manchester City, because the third criteria for determining the champion will be head-to-head, which Arsenal have no standing because they drew the first leg 1-1 and they lost the reverse fixture by 2-1. So in that category, they have no leg to stand on. And that tells you why yesterday, some Arsenal fans were really, really furious with players like Max Doman, Noni Madueke, particularly in the second half, because they wanted to see their team score more goals because of what it means. Once they lost to Manchester City went above them because they have scored more goals in as far as the Premier League table is concerned. But they were square on points and goal difference, you know. So now Arsenal played 2 games ahead of Manchester City. Manchester City have to respond. We have to wait to see how they respond. Their next game is tomorrow, actually today, because it's already midnight for me. against Everton at 10 p.m. After that, I think they'll have to play Brentford. And then after Brentford, they'll play, I think, their game in hand against Crystal Palace. No. Is it? But in between there, they have an FA Cup final to play against Chelsea. So they have two games that have to be rearranged. The game in hand against Crystal Palace, and the game, I think, should be, is it going to be against FC Bournemouth? Because their final game of the season should come against Aston Villa. So in that way. Okay. Manu is the king of all kings. If you say so, that's your personal opinion. But qualify your statement. Why do you think Manu is the king of all kings? Was it a handball, really? Now, if you describe it as a handball, usually handball is, how should I put it? A handball should oftentimes be deliberate, in a sense, but although not necessarily. I've had the chance to revisit this a couple of times, and I sort of understand, or would understand, why the goal was not disallowed, because it looked what's the right term to use? It didn't look clear, like it was a gray area, sort of. But the more I've watched it, the more it appears that Sesko's fingers scrape that ball. The ball brushes off his fingers. Because remember, it's not intentional. He's not trying to handle the ball. You get? He's trying to score. The goalkeeper, Freddie Woodman, has sort of put the hand to his ball, to that ball. It goes off his chest. And as it is bouncing off his body, maybe not just particularly, or around the midriff area or stomach area, his fingers appear to scrape the ball. But because maybe it was not inconclusive at the time of reviewing it, they decided to leave it, to let it stand. And I've seen this with offside decisions. So allow me make the comparison between that incident and offside decisions. We know for a fact that we have seen goals ruled out on offside decisions that are inconclusive, where it is, they've tried as much as possible to find the offside, but it's not clear, it's not obvious, it's not straightforward, that even after drawing the lines, they are still not 100% sure. It's a 50-50 sort of chance. But then they go onto one side, they lean onto one side of maybe disallowing the goal. And in disallowing the goal, teams feel hard done by. And I keep saying, if an offside is not clear, then do not let the goal stand if it's not clear. So, on the basis of this handball, if it is not clear, if that was their judgment or their observation that it is not clear, then I understand why they gave it. Nonetheless, they ought to be meticulous. Why? Because it is at the expense. This costs teams, So the ball appears to scrape Sesko's fingers. And what does the rule say? If there is any touch of the hand on the ball in the build-up to goal, the goal is ruled out, regardless of the circumstances within which that has happened. So that's how I would assess it. Michael Rollins, thank you so much for your question about that. So it's been a big talking point in the aftermath of the Manchester United-Liverpool game, which Man United won by 3-2 to cement their place in the top 5 and therefore qualify for European football. That's the UEFA Champions League next season. I would say give Michael Carrick his flowers, because he has achieved the objective set out for him with 3 games to spare. At the start of the season, my prediction was that Manchester United would significantly improve from the performances of last season and finish as high as 7th on the Premier League table, having finished 15th last campaign. Nonetheless, I did not envision, for example, the sacking of Ruben Amorim. My assumption or prediction was based on the fact that Ruben Amorim would still be in charge at Manchester United, but that's not been the case. On January the 5th, Manchester United part ways with Ruben Amorim, and I think it was Darren Fletcher took them through, I think, was it about 2 games? And then they appointed Michael Carrick as interim. He's done tremendously well, really, really well. So, I mean, beating up against Man City, Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool is not an everyday ask, is not a given. But they've won more than that. They've won against Aston Villa, they've won against teams like Fulham, they won against Spurs, That's what? How many? Those are 7 wins already. Of course, there's more. I'm forgetting the other victory because they lost to Leeds, they lost to Newcastle, and then they drew against Bournemouth and against West Ham. So when you combine, that's about 11 games. You should have managed the team about 13 games now. They're about, I'm thinking to myself, or if not more, really. But I'm forgetting the other victories that he managed to clinch, So, okay, do you think he should be given a chance to take on a full manager role at Manchester United? Now, that question is subjective, or I'll say my answer is going to be subjective on certain conditions. Whenever I'm asked that question, my first question to Manchester United and its fans is, what is the objective of the club? Remember, not too far back, Omar Barida told the world that their intention was to win the Premier League title in the 2027-2028 Premier League season. If that still stands as the objective, as the ultimate goal, I would say stick with Michael Carrick. It's not a guarantee that if you stick with him, you'll win, but I think you'd have a chance. How? When you stick with Michael Carrick, he's already shown signs of capability. Based on the sample space that he's given, he's shown he's capable. Nonetheless, we can only judge him for the hand he's been played with. I constantly say that, fortunately for him, or unfortunately, depending on how you see it, is that he's only had to manage this team throughout the Premier League. 1 week, 1 game. I don't think he's played more than 2 midweek games. At one point, Manchester United had to wait for 23 days to play their next game of football. That's close to a full preseason. Now, in the hand he's been dealt with, he's done perfectly well. The question is, can he take the full responsibility of managing the team in the Premier League with responsibilities in the Champions League, and then as the season goes on, domestic cup competitions? Do we think he can compete favorably? Because that takes, as an interim, there are certain things in the management of the club that you may not be involved in because you're there as an interim. For example, you may not be involved in decisions on which players get brought in and which players get to leave, So there's a question of that. But based on what he's done, if the objective is still to win the Premier League title in 2028, I'd say give him the chance. Let him sit down with Jason Wilcox and other minders, the CEO Omar Barida, assess the squad and say, okay, based on what we have, I don't want this player in. I want this player out, that player out, this player out, and I want A, B, C, D in. You get. Casemiro is leaving. Get me Bruno Guimaraes. Get me Elliot Anderson. I need a backup for Kobe Maino. I need another centre back because Matas Dedit has been out through injury. Lenny Yoro is not yet up to speed. I'll trust Harry Maguire. Lisandro Martinez is equally injury prone. I need a right back because Diego Dalot sometimes is not performing well, or Nusa Mazzoro is not good enough, as good as his dynamic, depending on his individual assessment. I need a backup for Luke Shaw, that whereas he's played majority of Manchester United games this season in the Premier League, last season he only played 7 games, and the season prior to that he only played 12. Therefore, I cannot bank on him solely to be my left back. Maybe Diego Leon is not yet up to speed. That's overall squad assessment. Maybe I need another striker other than Benjamin Sesko, because I'm going to lose Rasmus Højlund to Napoli, who will be taking him on a permanent deal. Marcus Rashford, does he come back to the club? Or do we agree with Barcelona to extend his loan spell? Or if we can come to a transfer fee, a permanent transfer fee with Barcelona. So you assess the squad. They are losing Jadon Sancho as a free agent in the summer. They will not be exercising their right to extend his contract by a further year. So he will be leaving the club. So in other words, they will assess and say, we need I need 1, 2, 3, 4 players, or even 5 players, or even 7. Who knows? And then once he has those tools in his command, then we see how he performs next season. He could take us by surprise and he wins the Premier League trophy in his debut campaign, like Arne Slot did. But if he doesn't, he should have a squad that is good enough to compete. In good enough to compete, that means you finish no less than third place. You either number 2 or number 3 if you do not win it. So if you compete favorably with that squad, at the end of the season, then we assess what cost us the Premier League title. What do we need to improve to make sure that we get it over the line the subsequent season? Remember, in Jurgen Klopp's final season, that was 2023-2024, Liverpool finished third with 82 points. Arne Slot won the Premier League title with just 2 points extra of what Jurgen Klopp had managed in his final season. So then you take it from there and, say, okay, here's what we have, and we need to add in Barton's ABC. If you remember in 2012, Manchester United missed out on the Premier League title on goal difference. Manchester City won it, having a better goal difference. Both teams had a tally of 89 points. What did Sir Alex Ferguson do in the summer? He went to Arsenal and pushed out Robin Van Persie and told whoever cared to listen in the Manchester United dressing room, whenever you get the ball, pass it to Van Persie, he will score as the goals. He was the season's top scorer. They won the Premier League title in 2013. So they would then assess their season based upon those criteria to see if they can win it in 2028. Even 2028 would not be a guarantee, but at least if that is still the objective, I think those are the parameters you go through and say, Michael Carrick, here's the job. However, if for Manchester United, their anticipation, they have in the back of their minds, they think they want to go and dominate English football the way they did between 2007 and 2013, because they were really, really dominant in that period. Because I think they won about 5 league titles between 2007 and 2013. And that's they won 3 consecutive, 2007, 8, 9, then skipped 10, lost to Chelsea, won 2011, skipped 2012, lost to Man City, and won it 2013. So if they want to have that dominancy, and in that period, they also won a UEFA Champions League title in 2008, and then they reached 2 other finals of the UEFA Champions League, both losing to Barcelona. That was in 2009 and in 2011. So if you want to rebuild that sort of Manchester United football dominancy, then I think you may need to take a different direction. How? You go and look out for a manager or head coach, whatever the title you want to call it, and say, okay, this is the direction I'm going to take. Now, they have already tried those directions with Louis van Gaal, with Erik ten Hag, and Ruben Amorim. At least that was the intention, to bring in a coach who can build a team that can go on to be dominant for a certain period of time. Unfortunately, they were neither patient with any of those managers or patient enough to get to it. You get my point. Maybe they had cause to terminate their contracts, but if you're going to look for that direction, then I'd rather you go for a more tactical coach, because it's not that Michael Carrick is not aware of the tactics, but he's not obsessed about them. He's more like a gentleman, a Carlo Ancelotti, Rafa Benitez, a Zinedine Zidane type of manager. You get. When I say tactically obsessed, I'm looking at managers similar to Pep Guardiola, Mikel Arteta, Enzo Maresca, Xabi Alonso, Xavi Hernandez, that kind of thing. You can look for somebody that you think can build for you that project. I don't know if Luis Enrique is your man, So you then take that direction. So the question will be for me, or is always for me, what direction do Manchester United want to take? Do they want to take this quick route? Then they can go down that path. None of them guarantee success, but that is something that they ought to think about and communicate to us. And once we know what their objectives are, then we can give definitive opinions. But based on the evidence he's presented by his report card, he should be in consideration. Not a straightforward given, but he should be in consideration. Should the Gunners force Arteta leave the club in case he fails to win at least one of the 2 trophies? I do not think they will force him to leave. I think he will convince himself to leave. Because, you see, the thing about coming so close and not winning is that you are bound to give up on yourself before a certain section of the world gives up on you. How do you summon the courage within you to go again after coming so close and yet so far in a way on 4 different occasions? He's been given all the tools he needs, particularly this season, to achieve that, to get it over the line, to cross the line, to go from competing favorably to winning it. And I've said this, as unfortunate as it may sound, I've said this. If Arsenal miss winning the Premier League title, even if they win the UEFA Champions League title, it will feel like a consolation, even though they have never won it. Why? Because for majority of this season, they have been at the summit of the Premier League table. Therefore, it was their title to lose from the onset. Now, because it was theirs to lose, and they had at one point a 9-point gap between them and their title rival in Manchester City, they will feel that they lost it, that they failed themselves. And therefore, winning the UEFA Champions League, which they have never won, would pass for consolation because, they were in the driving seat of one. Whereas they have appeared favorites to win the UEFA Champions League, they have never felt like they are in the driving seat to win it. Why? Because they've never won it. There's no precedent. There's no pedigree. They don't have the pedigree. In all their history of 140 years or thereabout, they have only played one final in 2006. Prior to this year, they had only played 3 semi-finals. In 2006, in 2009 against Man United when they lost, and last year. So their history in the competition, really, in fact, they are the team, they are one of the 2 teams, Arsenal and Atletico de Madrid, who have played the most number of UEFA Champions League games without winning the competition. So that shows you how, whereas their performances indicate that they are one of the favorites, they are not outright. I hope that answers your question. Okay, then going back to the game, because I wanted us to digest the Man United Liverpool game. First of all, like I said, for me it felt like a game of 2 halves. Manchester United very, very dominant in the opening half, and then not so dominant in the second half. Okay, I'm trying to read your name. Alice Better? Is that how they pronounce your name? Please forgive me if I've mispronounced it. Hi, how are you doing? Good to have you on the broadcast. Kindly let me know where you're joining us from. But it's a pleasure to have you on the broadcast. So, for me, it felt like a game of 2 halves. Manchester United, a brilliant first half. You say it's air. So it's Al. Oh, okay. Al. Hi, Al. Good to have you on the broadcast. Why are you joining us from, Al? Your name sounds unique. It sounds unique. Yes, that's the right word for it. So, in the opening half, you see the thing about Manchester United. You say Real Madrid or Barca. I'm a Real Madrid fan. As unfortunate as that sounds, because it's another trophyless season for Real Madrid, but I'm a Real Madrid fan. So, how about you? Real Madrid or Barcelona? I've already said this. Man United always look very good in big games. At least, maybe not all of them, but majority of big games, they look good. The other thing is that they have never positioned themselves as a team that wants anything to do with dominancy on the ball in terms of possession of it. In fact, today, they ended up with a shy 37% of the ball compared to Liverpool's 63% on ball possession. You say Real Madrid too. Oh, that's good. At least we can wallow in our grief or sorrow of not winning anything for the second year running at the Galacticos. I don't know if we even still qualify to be called Galacticos at this stage. But anyways, it is what it is. So Liverpool, despite dominating possession and scoring 2 goals and missing a couple of chances or forcing Senny Lomans into some 3 brilliant saves, they had an XG of 0.89. I don't know how that comes about, by the way. I don't know how these things are calculated, but Man United had a 2.34 goal XG. Nonetheless, total shots on target were 18 for Man United and 13 for Liverpool. Sorry, total shots were 18 and 13 respectively for Man United and Liverpool. 6 were on target for Man United and 5 for Liverpool. 1 big chance created, 3 corners for United, 2 for Liverpool, and 3 big saves for either teams. In the first half, Man United dominated the key moments of the game. They scored through Matas Cunha, then they scored through Benjamin Sesko. That's a controversial goal. And I mean, for me, I'll continue saying it. It was controversial, in the way it happened. But nonetheless, it is what it is. So I don't think we're going to argue about it. But I thought they did themselves really, really well to have a 2-0 lead. Nonetheless, I thought that they would do much better holding on to that lead. But the second half, defensively, at the start of it, they were quite shambolic. Shambolic in the sense of conceding that 2-0 lead in the early stages of the second half, because Cunha scores in the 6th minute, Sesko's goal was in the 14th minute. And that was about it. On the other side, they come back, Szoboszlai scores in the 47th minute, that's in the 2nd minute after the restart, and then Cody Gakpo in the 56th minute. You can see the goals in proximity. And Liverpool, I think, had a chance or chances to make it even 3-2, but of course they did not bury them. And I remember saying it would come back to haunt them because United are fond of snatching late winners. We saw it against Arsenal, we saw it against Everton, we saw it against Fulham. So they've done that sort of thing. I think even in their 4-4 draw against Bournemouth earlier on in the season. So they are capable of those kinds of moments. So through Kobe Mainoo in the 77th minute, they put it to bed. But prior to that, they had hit the best of the upright, I think through a flick by Brian Mbeumo, So it was a very good game by that. It was a good game to watch, especially if you are a neutral, because if you had sides that you are aligning to, it may have been nervous, it may have been nail biting. They missed chances. For example, Diego Dalot missed that chance at the tail end or towards the tail end of the game, But I mean, that Cunha goal felt lazy. It's not like it's a superb strike. He hits the ball, it bounces off the defender, and then he has a rebound to it, hits it and sort of bounces into the ground and finds its way into the back of the net. Freddie Woodman did not bury himself in any glory, letting that one in. And it sort of, of course, it took a slight deflection of Alexis McAllister's back. Maybe that's what put it beyond the reach of the goalkeeper, in a way. Okay, there's a comment for us. Liverpool were shocking. That is Oli Foster. Were they shockingly good or shockingly poor? Kindly clarify. When you say they were shocking, conclude, please. Shockingly good or shockingly poor? Because it can be either of the two things, So, and then, I don't know if Bruno Fernandes has been given the assist for the second goal for Man United, But prior to that second goal coming, again, Benjamin Sesko sort of missed a chance. But in the same phase of play, they found the second, So he scores. It's a bit of a what? And not a cliche. That's not the word to use. It's a bit of a very fortunate goal. Bruno Fernandes heads the ball back across goal. Freddie Woodman puts his hand to it, and then it bounces off Sesko's body and into the back of the net. And it's 2-0. And you see, when it comes to these things, you need an element of luck. So I felt that goal is an element of luck. Ideally, Woodman is saving this ball, But because he puts it directly onto the body of Sesko and he's already falling, he cannot recover. Unless you were cut, you would not have those kinds of reflexes as a human being. Then, for Liverpool's first goal, to make it 2-1, I thought defensively they did poor. By the way, Amadou Diallo, who had been brought on in the second half in place of Benjamin Sesko. I don't know why, whether it was a tactical change or it was due to injury, because we saw a moment in the first half where Ibrahim Konate sort of pushed Benjamin Sesko and he slid off the pitch and fell into the advertising boards. Now, the challenge or the problem with that Man United ground is that it's sort of like it has this feel of the remote, that it's a bit raised, and then at the end of it, it sort of bends in downwards in a way. So he sort of slid and went into the advertising boards. So Amadou Diallo concedes possession. He's trying to play a pass through the midfield. It's intercepted by Dominic Szoboszlai, who drives that ball and dribbles past the legs of Harry Maguire, puts it through the legs of Diego Dalot, and then bang, it's 2-1. Then Man United attempt to play from the back, and now what they were doing is what many teams do, and they constantly get away with it. But it's one that has never settled really well with me. Teams have a tendency where they put the ball to the edge of the 16 yards box, and the ball is started by one of the defenders, passing it to the goalkeeper. Now, the challenge I find with that is that the goalkeeper is directly in his goal. Any mistake leads into conceding. As opposed to if the goalkeeper starting the ball, passing it to the defender, you have the opportunity of the defender going sideways, even if they blast it out of play, when they're being closed down. But it becomes a bit awkward for the goalkeeper. So it's passed to Seny Lomans, and he passes it in no man's land, and the ball is won, I think, was it by McAllister, passes it to Szoboszlai and then to Cody Gakpo, and he scores into an empty net. In other words, Man United were their own enemies for the 2 goals they conceded. They orchestrated their own downfall, and it was 2-2 there. So once it's 2-2, you felt it was, I can't say it was a balanced game. You still felt Liverpool being dominant on the ball. They were doing so many things right. In the first half, Man United they fought for the 50-50s. They really, really pressed Liverpool well in terms of winning the ball back and trying the quick transitions. And now Liverpool did the reverse of it. Really, Man United could hardly get on the ball. They created some few chances, but like I said, it's that chance for a poor clearance by McAllister, because his clearance doesn't go far. Ball falls in that D zone around the 18 yards box, and Kobbie Mainoo, who I talked about quite lengthy or for quite some time in the build-up, that he will be in good spirits, having signed his new contract with Manchester United, which improved his pace significantly, will be in good spirits. And therefore, he sealed that momentous occasion or momentous week by a goal of his own, putting that ball beyond the reach of Freddie Woodman. So they won it 3-2 and then confirmed their place in the top 5 and therefore UEFA Champions League qualification. And that's why I was saying, give Michael Adrian Carrick his flowers. He's achieved what he was set out to do in as quickly as possible, or in the shortest time possible that you'd desire, that he does it. He did simply that. So it was really, really impressive it's impressive for him. And I've given you why. A lot of people think that he deserves the Man United job. He deserves the Man United job. So, and I remember somebody tweeted during the course of the game when it was just 2-0. He said, if you think Michael Carrick does not deserve the job, you're the one with the problem. Of course, it's a typical reaction from a fan, and you take it for what it is, but that's how highly regarded some people think of him. For some of us, it may not be the case. But he said, if you're out there and still think Michael Carrick is not the real man for the job, then you are the problem. That's exactly how I put it. That was put out by John Laban. He's a Manchester United fan. And then also, prior to the kickoff of that game, of course, we had received news that concerning Sir Alex Ferguson, that he had been hospitalized, although according to TalkSport, it was only precaution. And after he left hospital, soon after, prior to the kickoff, and he went home to rest. So, but nonetheless, prayers to the Premier League legend in Sir Alex Ferguson. Then the other thing, like I said, notably, Michael Carrick, what he's done has been really, really brilliant. So, because I think at the time of his sacking, Man United were 6th on the Premier League log, and I think, I stand to be corrected, but they were closer to the bottom 10 than they were closer to the top 2 or top 3 at that point in the season. But he's done a very, very tremendous job for them to be where they are. Okay, now, in the other game played on the day was Bournemouth beating up against Crystal Palace by 3 goals at 2-0, and the first goal, it was that goal decided by the goal line technology. A corner kick is brought in by Alex Scott, and it's headed, and it takes a deflection of what is the guy's name? I'm forgetting. Is it Jefferson Lemar? Yes, Jefferson Lemar. And then it crosses the line, and so the goal was given based on goal line technology. But it largely looked one-way street. Bournemouth with a really, really beautiful performance. They forced Dean Henderson into a brilliant save. That was still in the first half. Then there's that ball that is brought in. Dean Henderson tries to collect it. Somehow he fumbles it in the area, and he doesn't have a good grip on it. It falls. It was a long throw in fact. It was a long throw in. He sort of collides with his teammate, and then he loses grip of the ball and it falls in the area. I do not know how, but the contact made between the goalkeeper, Dean Henderson, and the Bournemouth player, who was Michael Senesi, who by the way tripped himself, that was given as a penalty. And I'm thinking to myself, in what world is that a penalty? I mean, where's VAR? This is where they should be intervening to say, Michael Senesi tripped himself. It's so ridiculous that, but also in its ridiculousness, you feel that it symbolizes the officiation, or majority of the officiation in the Premier League, for majority of the errors that go wrong. It symbolizes that, because it happens so often. I keep asking this question. How many times are we going to go from a match week and we are discussing the inefficiencies of the officials and VAR combined than the positives and the game in itself for what it was? It's such a dubious penalty, and then, of course, Junior Krupi steps up and scores, and it's 2-0, and Crystal Palace are in that sort of zone where they're not so much in danger of relegation, although mathematically they could be, but they're not so much in danger of that. But I think their thoughts at the moment are preoccupied with advancing to the finals of the UEFA Conference League. And they have 1 foot in the final, literally, because they won the first leg by 3-1 against Shakhtar Donetsk. So goals from Ismail Sarr, Taichi Kamada, and Jürgen Strand-Larsen were the goal scorers in that game. So really, that's where their thoughts are. The reverse fixture is set for next week or this week, since today is a Monday, on Thursday. So we'll wait and see what the result will be. But I mean, it is what it is. It is what it is. So, but a big win for FC Bournemouth, especially in their pursuit over European football. Remember, 6th place goes to Europa League, then 7th place goes to the UEFA Conference League. So Ryan also got himself on the squash sheet, the young Brazilian that they signed in January. So he scored to make it 3-0, and that's just about it. 2 goals in the first half and 1 in the second half basically sealed the fate for Andoni Iraola's side on the evening in a game where Crystal Palace, you felt that they struggled to create chances based on the statistics from the game. I did not actively watch that game. What was I doing? You know, but that was about it. So, but Crystal Palace had only 1 shot on target at the Vitality Stadium. So, and their XG was 0.89. So total shots were 7, but only 1 on target compared to Bournemouth is 5. So it clearly tells you the sort of story that you need to know about that game in regard. So anyways, then the other game was for Tottenham Hotspur. Tottenham Hotspur against Aston Villa. Like I said, they've won the game. They've won the game, and it's the best thing that could happen to them, that would have happened to them, that has happened to them. Now, prior to this game, of course, they had their work cut out for them, because coming into the fixture, West Ham had already lost the previous day against Brentford by 3-0. And therefore, Tottenham knew practically well that a result such as a victory would pull them out of relegation and put the contest in the battle against relegation in their own hands. And that's a very, very important advantage to have, because then you're the determinant of your own destiny. Their next league outing will be against Leeds at home. The advantage for Tottenham is that Leeds are out of the danger zone following that weekend victory. That was on Friday when they beat Burnley by 3-1. So, and for the second consecutive game, they've won, because they won their first game in 2026 against Wolves by 1-0 last weekend. And now they've won against Aston Villa. 3 games left to play against Leeds United, against Chelsea, and Everton. If you're serious about avoiding relegation for Tottenham Hotspur, all those are winnable fixtures. I mean, yes, Leeds a decent team, but they're beatable. Chelsea have been so poor in recent times that you can't bet your chances against them if you come really good. Everton can be a hard nut to crack, but nonetheless still not invincible. So if you're serious about beating relegation, then clearly those should be winnable fixtures for you, for Tottenham Hotspur. Like I said, this kind of victory put them back into the driving seat of their own destiny. It moved them from 18th to 17th with 37 points, 1 point ahead of West Ham. Now, here's the interesting bit that you ought to remember is that match day 36 gets underway next week, of course, or next weekend, starting on Saturday. On Saturday, we will have about 5 fixtures played, including Liverpool versus Chelsea in the early kickoff, lunchtime kickoff. I don't know why that is the case, but it is what it is, But West Ham will play on Sunday at home against Arsenal. If Arsenal are serious about their title, still pushing for the Premier League title, then it should be a must-win fixture for them against West Ham. And then Tottenham Hotspur play on Monday. Therefore, it means that by the time Tottenham Hotspur play, they'll have known what the result would have been for West Ham. Either West Ham have beaten Arsenal, or they've drawn against Arsenal, or they've lost against Arsenal. If it is a draw, it simply puts the two sides level on points, and because West Ham have a larger negative goal difference compared to Tottenham Hotspur, because theirs is 19 and that of Tottenham is 9, it would still leave Tottenham above West Ham, albeit on similar points. If West Ham beat Arsenal, it would put them 2 points ahead of Tottenham, making the game against Leeds a must-win. If West Ham lose to the Arsenal, it even makes that game a more must-win for Tottenham. Why? Because you then want to open a 4-point lead between you and West Ham, so that in the event that you lose one of the 2 other remaining games between the game for Chelsea and Everton, you can still stay up. In other words, if you're Tottenham Hotspur and you win the game against Leeds, whereas West Ham have lost, you open a 4-point lead. Therefore, if you lose to Chelsea and win against Everton, you still guaranteed your place in the Premier League next season. So that's the homework that Roberto Di Zerbi has to do in as far as things go. Now, the other result, FC Bournemouth have moved to 52 points. And now Aston Villa, in 5th place, are only 6 points above FC Bournemouth. Now, as the table looks like, Bournemouth would qualify for UEFA Europa League football, and Brentford would qualify for UEFA Conference League football. Chelsea have since dropped to 9th place. However, if they can't find it in themselves to beat up against Nottingham Forest, who are equally battling against relegation, they have about, I think, 39 points in 16th place. But if Chelsea can win that game, it will take them to 51 points, and with a superior goal difference, they would leapfrog Brentford to occupy 7th place. So the mathematics is still there for all teams to do. They still have something to play for, especially those that have aspirations for European football, because those slots are still there for the taking. Remember, with 3 games left to play, if Bournemouth can win all their remaining 3 games, will Aston Villa continue to sleep? They could finish as high as 5th. So that's the key context. That's the key context. Anyways, allow me move away from the Premier League, because I think we've had it all said about the Premier League, and go to the Italian Serie A, where in the Italian Serie A, Inter Milan beat up against, they beat up against Parma by 2-0 by 2-0 to seal their 21st Scudetto. That means they've won now 2 more than their arch rivals, AC Milan, who, by the way, earlier on in the day, lost to Sassuolo by 2-0. Not the kind of result I would have envisioned, but it is what it is. Goals from Marcus Thuram and Henrik Mkhitaryan were enough to guide Inter Milan to the 2-0 victory They were playing at home, so in front of their fans, and they should be able to be handed their title in their next home game. I don't know when that is going to be, but should be the case. So, I mean, isn't that the ideal world to seal the league title with some games left to play? Of course, Arsenal made that difficult for themselves. If they were still 9 points ahead, maybe they would be needing just one victory to seal it, but now that's not the case. Very unfortunate. Bayern Munich have already sealed theirs in the German Bundesliga. PSG still have some work to do to defeat RC Lens to winning the French League One title. And then, because Real Madrid have won against Espanyol, Barcelona still have one more hurdle to skip. But that hurdle is in such a manner that they only need a draw against Real Madrid to seal it. But remember, it's the El Clasico. Imagine Barcelona clinching the league title at the expense of Real Madrid in a game against Real Madrid. That will be historical. That will be historical. So, as a Real Madrid fan, it scares the crap out of me. It's not the kind of situation that I would want to be in. I would rather Real Madrid win that game and trim the 11 points to 8. Not that it would still be of any significance, because even then still, because we would still have 3 games left to play, therefore there would be still 9 points to play for, but at least you'd make it harder for Barcelona. Okay, not harder, but you'd extend their victory party. You'd extend the victory party in a way. So I hope that Real Madrid do whatever it takes to win that game. By doing whatever it takes, I don't mean, getting the referee to take dubious decisions or anything like that. I mean sportingly, everything sportingly possible within the fairness of the game, within the rules and laws of the game to, get it over the line. So really, that's what I would expect. Save yourself the embarrassment. Do not give Barcelona reasons to brag about the rest of the season and going into the next campaign and things like that. So really, that's what you would want to have. That would be the ideal scenario or ideal circumstance. Is it going to be the case? I do not know. I hope Barcelona do not clinch their 29th Spanish La Liga title against Real Madrid. It would be simply embarrassing for their own status. But yeah, for the Italian Serie A, Inter Milan are champions. Now, Vinicius Jr. squared the brace as Real Madrid beat up against Espanyol by 2-0 to delay Barcelona's victory party. Like I said, mathematically, Real Madrid can still win it. But how do I put this? Other than God's intervention, which unfortunately, as a Real Madrid fan, I do not expect is going to happen, Real Madrid can win the league title. So in other words, it would necessitate God's intervention to deliver a miracle for Real Madrid to win the league title. That's how hard it is. Because how do Real Madrid win it? First of all, they would have to beat up against Barcelona. Hi, Rio Dandy. How are you doing? They would have to beat up against Barcelona and then also pray that Barcelona lose all their remaining 3 games. Will Real Madrid win? I mean, That's just about it. Is that going to happen? Can it happen? I don't think so. How is that a red card? Oh, I feared so. Somebody was shown a red card and it was reviewed and reduced to a yellow card. Did you watch the Man U Liverpool game? Yes, Rio Dandy. I watched the game. Like I said, it was for me. It was a game of two halves. Man United having a better first half. Liverpool the best second half, but just could not keep it together. They just could not keep it together to avoid conceding that third goal, and it came in the less ideal time. But Manchester United were the orchestrators of their own downfall in that second half. Both goals, literally a gift to Liverpool. Amadou Diallo conceding possession for the first one, then Seni Lomans playing it in no man's land for the second. So they didn't do themselves any favors. But I mean, for those of you that care to see beautiful goals, go and watch that second goal from Vinicius Jr., a backheel assist from Jude Bellingham, released Vinicius Jr. buried it into the top corner. So it was a beautiful, beautiful goal there. Anyways, okay, Rio Dandy has a question, says, what's with Dani Ceballos and Real Madrid? There's some controversies going on between them. Well, from what I've heard is that he will be leaving Real Madrid at the end of the season, and that um, and that um, and that Ajax are one of the teams that are interested in his signature. That's for teams abroad. Muhammad says, "Hey, what's up? Hi, Muhammad. How are you doing? Good to have you on the podcast." I've already said this. Dani Ceballos is not going to have a career at Real Madrid. He needs to leave and go to a club maybe with lesser pressure, where he can play consistent football and sort of rediscover his talent. I mean, not that he's lost it, but he was part of what? That Spanish winning, was it under 21 under Luis de la Fuente? That won the Euros. Unai Simon, that team. So he needs to sort of rediscover himself, you know. But at Real Madrid, it's just not going to work out. It's just not going to work out for him. So it is expected that he will be leaving in the summer. He's having so many ugly spats with Abeloa. Well, I think it's because his fate has been as good as sealed, and that he's not been accommodated any much of a playing time under Alvaro Abeloa. Usually, I mean, spats are not immune for players and managers, but we know some things get out of hand. But let me tell you, there appears to be the Real Madrid squad or dressing room, for lack of a better word, seems to be in disarray. Like I said, as responding earlier on to Danny, or formerly known as Peter Parker, to me on this forum, when he was asking me a question about Kylian Mbappe and the hula baloo that is ongoing there. And I said to him, what I would say to you is that in the build-up to the Espanyol game, what we have been hearing is, brother, you're still here? Yes, I'm still here. For as long as you guys keep me company, I'm always still here to serve you. But was that the Real Madrid squad is disappointed in Kylian Mbappe going away apparently on a foreign trip to Italy in the midst of the season, despite him having a minor injury. So they're just not taking well to his behavior. I do not know the extent of truth in that, but it is what it is. So we've sort of gone through the day getting those reports. So it feels like the Real Madrid um, dressing room is in disarray. Did you see the Fabrizio post that Casemiro might join Inter Miami? Yeah, it's been now public knowledge that ever since he announced that he will be leaving Manchester United at the end of the season, Inter Miami initiated talks with his camp over the possibility of him joining him over there at Inter Miami. Read my last comment, reluctant gamer. Yes, I'm going to read it. I just wanted to complete the whole thing with Rio Dandy. But you say, okay, brother, what will score be tomorrow? Manchester City versus Everton. I will super chat £10 if you get the score correct. The prediction correct or the score line correct? Because perfect score, Manchester City 2, Everton 0. That's my prediction. Yeah, that's my prediction. So I stick to that. A part of me thinks that Man City could even score 3-0, but let me settle for a 2-0 victory for Man City. I know Everton will try to be stubborn, but I just have that feeling in me that they'll sort of find a way, a breakthrough eventually for Man City. Okay, 2-0. We will see. That's my prediction also. Okay. Okay. Even though you've not come good on the one for Liverpool, I know what you're going to say about that. Okay, you say Casemiro still has, Rio Dandy says Casemiro still has it. He can play in the Serie A or something. Yeah. I also feel he can still hack it in Europe. Particularly, I've always recommended that when he leaves Manchester United, he should go to Italy. Why? Because the Italian league is slightly slower, per se, and he could fit in there, really. He could go and start at a team like AC Milan and have a good game. We'll be back tomorrow 100%. All right, I'll be looking forward to seeing you, reluctant gamer. So for Casemiro, I've always thought that as well, because I mean, look at the likes of Luka Modric, 39 years or 40 now? I think 40. He's still balling in the Italian Serie A and he's doing good. Kevin De Bruyne, by the injuries that have disturbed him, he's doing good. He's done well. I mean, it's largely known as a league that accepts players in their 30s plus. So look at the likes of Francesco Acerbi at Inter Milan. Look at Mkhitaryan at the same team. So it's basically that. It's basically that. I super chatted, brother. Did you receive? Not really. I've not yet seen it. It's not been brought to my attention. And because usually it's an instant notification here once somebody super chats me. Not yet Rio Dandy. But as of when and whenever it comes through, I'll be glad to receive it. So I did send it, no joke. Really? When was that? When was that? Kindly remind me, and because I've been super chatted by about 2 people so far, both doing it twice. Jesus has done it 3 times. Then the other was Anne. Yes, Anne. Anne was the other person that did it. So it's you say 1 minute ago. Oh, 1 minute ago. I did send it, no joke. It's not popped up anywhere because we would all be seeing it. It's not popped up anywhere. Maybe you will cross-check on your end. I do not recommend that you try again instantly because sometimes it could be a transaction loop, or you can cross-check on it just to be sure that's the case. But I'd appreciate receiving it. So guys, help me answer this question. We the online payment retracted to Google Pacific something. The online payment, you see, it was retracted. So that means it did not propagate through. For I don't know what reason they've given you on your end, but that means it did not go through. Otherwise, it would have been instant here. So, guys, we know Inter Milan have won their 21st Scudetto, of course. They are now two ahead of their arch nemesis in AC Milan, who are at 19. Barcelona are going to seal the Spanish La Liga. The German Bundesliga is already decided. I have a feeling that PSG are going to get it over the line in the French League One. So what I want from you, Rio Dandy, and whoever else that there is still out there that is listening, where do you think the Premier League title is going to go? Arsenal or Man City? Where do you think it will go? You answer that, we sign out, because basically we've said it all. Rio Dandy says Manchester City. Well, it is what it is. We'll be back tomorrow with the conversation. Of course, tomorrow we'll get to digest more of what's transpired throughout the weekend. We'll get to look forward to the Monday games. Manchester City, 2 matches shorter. Yeah, 2 matches shorter. you know, when something happens and okay, when you're anticipating something and you're so much into the unknown sort of space that you leave everything to God, kind of. I feel some Arsenal fans have put themselves in that situation where they're going day by day, hoping against hope that they win all their remaining games. And in some miraculous world, that they in some miraculous world, Manchester City stumble, that they get to win it on points, because when it comes to goal difference, goal squad, and head to head, they may not stand as much a chance because Manchester City are capable of scoring many goals. It's just one of the emojis. Even though the disparity in terms of goal squad thus far is not that big, or hasn't been that big, even when the games were all square that had been played and they were all square on points, I think Man City had only scored 3 more goals than Arsenal. So, in that sort of regard, it's just that Arsenal's defense has been, better. Okay, you say, hey, please see again tomorrow whether you have your super chat or not, because money has been deducted from my account. Okay, I'll check it out on my dashboard, but thus far it's not been indicated. But I'll be sure to go and check it out, and we see, so that if it has not. So that we can so that I let you know in case it has not come through, so that you help it, so that you have it rectified on your part. I know there's a process through which probably you can make a claim that I made this transaction, but money was deducted, but it did not go through successfully. So there must be a channel or a mechanism through which you can make that happen. So it will be. I'll do my best to let you know. Oh, but if I forget to let you know, kindly do not forget to remind me, please. Sometimes I may be taken away by other things that steal my attention that I could forget. But I'm going to check it out as soon as the broadcast is done and see. And then I hopefully when we interact the next time, I can let you know. Okay. Okay. It is cancelled. Just received an email. God knows why. Okay. All right. Did they not attach a reason? Usually they'll give you a reason. Why it's bounced. Why it's bounced. Have a notification to tend to. Oh, okay. Jesus Christ. It's not the notification that I was, I was hoping for, but that's another notification to tend to. We'll have to go through it. Okay. They said Google Ireland Limited has been cancelled. Any charges will be refunded. Okay. I don't know why that is the case on your part or for your part, but yeah, on my side it's not there. Um, but at least you've gotten confirmation of the cancellation of the transaction. Maybe you'll see how to try again, or find out what the reason might have been for the decision taken therein. Okay. Hey, that is a big issue. People won't be able to super chat you. Try to contact. Oh, maybe, yeah, maybe the issue is on my end. I don't know. I don't know how it works since it's since the channel recently got the qualification for being super chatted, but I know I have a notification that I'm required to tend to from Google. So in terms of payments, so I need to have a look into that, and maybe once I'm done with that, other things will be able to go through. Because I've not seen the email. I'm just seeing it off of a notification. So I'll have to go through it and find out. And I'll let you know in the process. Uh, the issue can be from my end also. I don't know. YouTube didn't justify the cancellation. Okay. But since earlier ones have been successful, I do not think entirely it's on my end. I don't think that will be the case. I think YouTube will be able to let it go through. So maybe chances are it could be with your case. So you let me know. You let me know. When you as of when you find out how what's the issue in that sense. But thank you so much for even considering super chatting me. I appreciate the thought and much appreciated for your time. Real Dandy, thank you so much. Reluctant Gamer, it's always a pleasure to have you on the chat. Oli Foster, thank you so much. Al, it was a pleasure to have you. Michael Rollins, always a pleasure. Ottoman, thank you so much. Mr. Schwarzenegger, thank you so much. Let me see. I think I have two comments. Okay, bye. Thank you so much, Yodandi. Then Jesus, it was a pleasure having you back. Mr. Khalid, it was a pleasure having you. Then Shana, thank you so much. Then what's his name? Okay, Gratida, yes, Gratida Games. Thank you so much as well for having been part of the broadcast tonight. It's been 1 hour and close on to 40 minutes. So we'll be back tomorrow to continue the conversation. Of course, tomorrow morning at around 9 a.m. We should be back to chat you guys up to about what more we made of the weekend, what's to come, particularly for Monday Night Football, Chelsea versus Nottingham Forest, Manchester City against Everton, any interesting things that should be coming our way in the build-up to those two games. I think there will be really, really interesting games to watch. I'm still surprised that the Chelsea game kicks off at 3 p.m. That is UK time, and 5 p.m. Ugandan time or East African time. That is still something that I think I need to constantly remind myself up of it throughout the day so that I do not forget, I may get taken away by work that it comes at, by the time it comes, I've forgotten, and before you know it, you're missing minutes of it. But hopefully that won't be the case. Stay blessed, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye for now.